The immediate pivot into Drampa. The opponent stays in. Attempt a swift catch onto the snail. Catch attempt unsuccessful. Whilst Drampa might be fully walled in this matchup, Dragon Breath gonna do what Dragon Breath always does and tear through HP. Whilst the first Swift won't be commanding a Protect Shield, Drampa, still not done, gonna invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the Rock Tomb. Dragon Breath instantly puts them into the red health. We farm up to the double Swift. The opponent shields the first, look to spam that Rock Tomb, but Drampa able to win the charge attack priority and going to force both Protect Shields in the mid-game matchup. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday, I uploaded a video of what I believe is the strongest team for the Great League Sunshine Cup. I was able to go on a very nice run, gain 150 elo in only 4 sets. It's no secret that I usually revolve my content around spicy triple shadow teams and entertaining battles. However, it's no secret that I was super tilted with how poorly my week went in the Ultra League. So once again, I headed to battle yesterday with the goal in mind to actually regain some of that lost elo. This might be a first on the channel. Back-to-back days, we are showcasing a powerful climbing team. This team actually went even better than yesterday's team, with me gaining another 163 elo, giving me around 313 in my first 2 days of battles. The strategy that was able to help me gain that elo, some people might call it toxic, some people might call it degenerate. Yes, we are using double dragon. However, let me tell you one thing. This season has been so frustrating. The game state has been absolutely piss poor. So don't hate the player, hate the game. Double dragon is a very viable strategy and it is so hard to beat. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we see a battle of fire types, with Shadow Kanto Ninetales into the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. It's a no thank for me and an immediate save switch into Drampa. You might ask yourself, why am I using Ninetales in the lead? What does Ninetales beat? It beats 2 things. It beats fairy types and ice types that the backline of Double Dragon does not want to see. All it needs to do on the team is beat either of them 2 threats and the Double Dragons will do everything else. In this matchup, you can see I did commit to the fly rather than firing off a resisted Swift and looking to force the energy. I was thinking now I can come in as that energy dry, 6 embers, should remove Cradilly from the field of play. But unfortunately the opponent survives on fractional HP and we're in a really tough spot. I'm going to bank the weather ball, make the pivot into Flygon, baiting out Clodsire. The opponent here doesn't farm up to the Earthquake. I'm thinking, why would you Sludge Bomb or Stone Edge a ground type? The opponent's running Water Pulse. Okay, I did not see that one coming, but in a meta where ground types reign supreme, it's actually pretty cool tech. My opponent here makes not 1, but 2 mistakes in my opinion. First, they shield Talonflame, and secondly, they give me a free Dragon Tail, meaning Flygon can now farm down without taking that Incinerate damage. 1 Dragon Tail and the Dragon Claw, the first one, forces the Protect Shield, the second one should be putting them into a range where a Weather Ball will be lethal. Flygon, still not done, gets off 1 further Dragon Tail, and that is going to be the final nail in my opponent's coffin. They farm down, leaving with a charge move. We've got a higher attack. We win charge attack priority and take that game. In the next battle, we see the Quagman in the lead position. Yet another very tough lead for Ninetales. I'm going to be brutally honest, Ninetales doesn't win too many leads. However, what it does do is beat the stuff the Dragons cannot. Your eyes are not deceiving you. A Vigoroth is on my screen and is absolutely laying the smackdown on my Drampa's ass. Oh man, this is rough. They tank the Swift, don't even invest the Protect Shield and fully counter farm down. If you're wondering why I don't want to send out Flygon, tank the Rock Slide. The reason is because it needs to do so much heavy lifting, I don't want to take any chip damage whatsoever. Speaking of heavy lifting, Flygon hits the field of play, invests the Protect Shield, the opponent opts to stay in. I'm all down 1 Protect Shield and I'm thinking, hopefully they're weak to Flygon on the back. They're running double normal. I absolutely know this is not going to be a win. I wasn't really planning for Vigoroth. However, I'm being brutally honest. If I had a Shadow Vigoroth, it looks kind of good right now. So if anyone's got one, send me some battles. GG's to that opponent, I guess. Vigoroth, apparently meta. Heading into the next battle, yet another Quagsire in the lead position. Once again, leading into the Drampa save switch. The opponent farm up 2 Central Stone Edge. It's almost certain this is going to be an Aquatail bait. But this opponent like, nah, I am full sending. Then send out Claydol. Swift is more energy efficient, but Fly will do more. Claydol insanely bulky, so I anticipated the first move going unshielded, hence I threw the Fly. They actually invest the Protect Shield. I am going to settle for the Swift. Swift also goes shielded. Not complaining. We've now got a shield advantage for Flygon. Ninetales literally has nowhere to run so far into this team. I'm just going to send out Ninetales here. I'm going to fire off the weather wall as soon as I get it, which is suboptimal timing, as I'm not sure who wins this charge attack priority. If I would have thrown one more, it would have been a CMP tie. Weather wall gets the opponent low. We're then going to save Ninetales, make the catch the rock tomb, and attempt to snipe down this Claydol's remaining HP. As they debuff me, unfortunately, they're able to survive on fractional HP, and out comes Lurantis. Leaf Blade would hit for neutral and easily knock out Flygons. I'm going to invest the Protect Shield. As I'm debuffed, I'm not certain a Dragon Claw knockout, so I'm going to play it safe, force in the Stone Edge, and remove this Lurantis from the field of play. Claydol now nothing more than a sacrificial swap. The opponent waiting out their timer. Quagsire re-enters the arena. I bank the Dragon Claw, reset my debuff, and send out Ninetales, sacrificing it to the Pokegods. Aqua Tail removes me from the field of play. I pause, ensuring Quagsire is still on my screen. I fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw isn't quite lethal, but able to Dragon Tail farm down. This game should end in a tie, but clearly the opponent got one turn bring in. We did win, but it definitely should have been a tie. GG's that opponent. The tough leads are unrelenting. This time we see Golurk in the lead position. I say switch into Drampa, this time baiting out Furret. Drampa going to go straight for the Swift. Swift gains me a very early shield advantage. At this point, I'm more than happy with Drampa's contribution. This opponent's opting for Brick Break. Brick Break is super effective. However, Brick Break's a garbage move, man. Drampa's insanely glassy. That actually didn't knock out, meaning we get off a little bit more Dragon Breath damage. I send back out Ninetales. They fire off the Swift. If I can fully Ember Farm this thing down, I think we're in a good spot. Unfortunately, unable to do so before the next Swift's reach, but Golurk isn't going to appreciate a Weather Ball. Ground might be hitting fire for super effective, but it does not resist. Back out comes Golurk. We fire off one Ember, recognizing we're not in one Mud Slap range. Fire off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball goes unshield. I send out Flygon and attempt to snipe. Snipe attempt unsuccessful. Out comes a Bomber Snow. This doesn't look fantastic. However, I know that Golurk is in one Ember range, so I can fire off this Weather Ball, instantly removing the Bomber Snow from the field of play. The Ember is going to register before the Mud Slap does, and this one is going to end in victory. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, hallelujah, Ninetales wins the lead. Typing advantage very much with the opponent, but as they're running Fury Cutter, Ninetales is certainly favoured. The opponent saves switch into Shadow Swampert, and Drampa hits the field of play. Drampa can tank a Sludge, not well, but one is survivable in the worst case scenario. It does like 80%, man. It looks like it's super effective. This Drampa is so glassy in the Great League. We fire off the Swift just before the next Sludge, forcing our Protect Shield back. I'm more than happy to double shield here and commit to the full Dragon Breath farm down. If Gligar returns, they're going to be forced to dump energy or reach two further Swifts, and as of the Shadow variant, two Swifts and the residual Dragon Breaths will force a knockout. The opponent very smartly opts to dump energy just before the next Swift is reached, and this more than works for me. Of course, we're going to send Ninetales back into the arena. The opponent pivots out into Quagsire, and Flygon hits the field of play. Quagsire with shield advantage is quite a scary prospect for the backline, but the thing is, you can't shield quick moves. These Dragon Tails are deleting Quagsire. We tank the first Aqua Tail. As I've got no shields, fire off the Dragon Claw, force the opponent all shields down. The opponent going to farm up as much as they physically can. They intentionally throw an alignment here, so they don't take that Dragon Tail. However, they've not overfarmed enough. Ninetales is going to be able to race to the Weather Ball. Weather Ball even resisted, will moving Quagsire from the field of play. Just Gligar remains. Ninetales going to reach the Weather Ball on the charge attack priority. There's actually only an air relay, so even if they would have been able to win CMP, which they certainly haven't got the higher attack, it would have been easily survivable, and either way, we take that game. Normal service has resumed with another absolutely atrocious lead. We say switch into Drampa, baiting out a Bomber Snow. Things aren't looking fantastic, but team working as intended. Ice does it as for super effective, but not double super effective like it would be on Flygon. The opponent gets scared, fire off their energy, which is best case scenario. Ninetales now gets to farm down this Bomber Snow. The opponent already down one Protect Shield. We've already seen that Golurk doesn't tank a Weather Ball well whatsoever. So we're either going to almost remove all of Golurk's HP or force the opponent all shields down. Let's see what the opponent wants to do. Ninetales fires off the Weather Ball. The opponent invests their final Protect Shield, and here comes Flygon. The opponent continues to stay in. Mud Slaps tearing through my HP. Flygon able to fully farm down, and out comes Furret. So here I'll make a misplay. I actually thought I'd reach double Dragon Claw. Two Dragon Claws would do more than the Stone Edge, but it looks like I was only going to reach one move, so Stone Edge would have been the correct play there. But regardless, despite my misplay, this game is signed, sealed, and delivered. Ninetales with two shields high behind the opponent, fire off the Trailblaze, vamping up their attack. We're going to fire off the Scorching Sands, super unnecessary, but I spent 6 TMs to get this bloody move, man. You better believe I'm going to fire it off, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Cradilly in the lead position. I'm going to fire off a weather ball, force some chip damage, and then make the pivot into Drampa. So of course today's team is an ABB team. You always want to say switch into Drampa and look to bait out the opponent's best dragon type counter. As Drampa's the bait out Pokemon, I've got no intention of shielding it whatsoever. The opponent fire off the Rock Tomb, which is actually great for me as they've dumped their energy. They then send out Gligar. We're only reaching one move, so I do commit to the fly that does do more. Here I've got two choices. I could shield a potential dig and try and Ember Farm down, or I could just fully sacrifice Ninetales and put it all on Flygon. If this is the opponent's best dragon type counter, Flygon with a shield advantage and an energy lead should be off to the races. I am going to invest one Protect Shield. Shielding up an Aerial Ace, it does feel bad, man, but kind of is what it is. Back out comes Cradilly. I don't think a Dragon Claw will be lethal, so I commit to the Stone Edge. On the CMP tie, Stone Edge removes Cradilly from the field of play. Out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death, 3 Dragon Tails, and the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent very quickly realise they cannot win the game, and they concede the match. Flygon, too good in the back. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, yet another Golurk in the lead. So I see a lot of people complaining. They have a really good day and the next day they're hard countered. I think so far it'd be fair to say we've lost like 95% of leads. However, when you've got a good team and a good strategy, winning a lead isn't important. Sticking to that strategy is what gets you dubs. In this particular battle, I unfortunately wasn't able to gain any kind of advantage in the mid-game matchup. However, we can use the remaining health on this ferret to fully farm down Ninetales and gain a shield advantage off the returning Golurk. So using a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move, you ideally should throw 1, 4 or 7 quick moves. Here I just throw 2 because I only want to take 2 mod slaps, not 3, gain that shield advantage and make the pivot into Flygon. The opponent stays in, looking to force their shield, firing off the Shadow Punch, I oblige, putting up the Protect Shield and out comes the Snail. Here I throw the charge move on alignment, expecting the opponent to spam the Rock Tomb as soon as they get it. They take the extra, but look to call the bait, hashtag no baits. On this channel, the opponent gets rocked through the Protect Shield. We Dragon Tail farm down the remainder of the team, and that one ends in victory. Let's go. Heading into the next battle. Oh, another ground type. Once again, I say switch into Drampa. Here the opponent actually fire off a Hydro Cannon, which potentially means I've got Earthquake as a second move. Even that resisted Hydro Cannon did over half my health. Then pivot out into Cradilly. Drampa fires off the fly. As the opponent's giving an energy lead, we're even going to reach the departing Swift. Swift is resisted, but likely forces a shield advantage, which is perfect for me, setting up Flygon with a 2-to-1 shield advantage in the endgame scenario. Ninetales can actually tank a Rock Tomb from full health. I'm hoping the opponent only reaches 1. I intend to tank the first, commit to the Ember Farm down, and bank the energy and make the pivot into Flygon. Unfortunately, the opponent reaches double Rock Tomb, and at this point, Ninetales just going to use the 3rd and 4th shield. The opponent not wanting to see the farm down, pivot out into the Snail. This is only a Rock Tomb, but I've got 2 shields, and you better believe I intend to use one here. I'm then going to fire 3 Dragon Tails and the Dragon Claw. The opponent really can't afford to shield this. They might shield, thinking they're going to win charge attack priority. However, they must be in Planet Dreamland. Flygon with a monstrous attack compared to the Snail, able to win the charge attack priority, firing off the back-to-back Dragon Claws, moving them from the field of play. Back out comes Swampert. Swampert going to be greeted with the Dragon Claw. This is resisted, but Swampert paper thinning the Great League. The opponent pivots out into Cradilly just to get farmed down, and Flygon once again cleans up. Lose lead, lose switch, win the battle. Heading into the next battle. Oh man, I think I found the team I posted yesterday. I think the opponent does me a favour here, throwing a charge move. I should be able to shield once, a fully Dragon Breath farm down, and thankfully Flygon gets removed from the field of play. This actually works out great for me. It leaves minimal farm for the returning Piloswine that of course does have access to high horsepower. To my surprise, the opponent actually sends out Quagsire, looking to get ahead in energy. We fire off the fly anyway, forcing that Protect Shield, and of course we're going to send out Flygon. We're going to tank one move. The opponent potentially look to snipe with Piloswine. So I'm looking top right. There's the snipe attempt. We pivot into Ninetales. I'm wasting no time. I'm just going to go straight for the Weather Ball. Weather Ball will be removing Piloswine from the field of play. And here this gets interesting. I'm actually going to shield. No, I'm going to outpace Quagsire to the Weather Ball. And they're obliged to shield. So if they don't shield, they're just going to get Ember Farm down. We've also got a Dragon Claw banked on Flygon. I just posted attacks that 127. Quagsire's nowhere near that. So this one is going to end in victory. The opponent farm up to the double Aquatail. But unfortunately, they haven't got the highest attack. We re-enter the arena, fire off said Dragon Claw, and take that game. Shout out that opponent. I respect the team. In the next battle, yet another Quagsire in the lead. Would you have it any other way? This time we say switch into Drampa. The opponent attempt to catch a Swift onto the snail. Catch attempt unsuccessful. And it's great I held my energy there rather than giving the opponent a free incinerate. The first Swift doesn't do much damage, but as they give me a huge energy lead, I know I can shield once. And if the opponent wants to keep alignment, it's going to cost them not one protect shield, but both. We farm up to the double Swift. The opponent now receiving the energy for the Rock Tomb. Shield the first. Play to the CMP tile. They do not win. Shout out the GOAT. Home size Henry for that quote. Drampa putting in so much work, forcing the opponent all shields down. Drampa has done its job. I'm going to concede switch advantage and just send out Flygon. Looks to get an energy lead. We've got to be mindful that Quagsire has banked the charge move, so potentially I'm going to have to shield up the incoming Aqua Tail. The opponent figure out what to send out. Send back out Quagsire. I'm actually going to tank the first one, and I don't know what's in the back. Aqua Tail does a lot of damage. The opponent continued to stay in, and at this point I'm obliged to shield. Flygon running out of HP, but with all the energy in the world, the opponent pivots out into Craydiddy. Craydiddy greeted with the Stone Edge. Stone Edge rocks the opponent down to around the half health. We see the pivot into Ninetales. Ninetales races to the Weatherball, winning the charge attack priority. Weatherball from this range moves Craydiddy from the field of play. Back out comes Quagsire. Quagsire is going to reach the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to remove me from the field of play. Flygon has enough health remaining to survive the mud shots, Dragon Tail farm down, and we take that game. In the next battle, the tough leads continue. I say switch into Drampa. Here I attempt to throw 13 Dragon Breaths and the Swift. I end up playing 2 CMP, which is so risky. However, thankfully the opponent is spamming the charge when they fire off the fly, and then switch lock their Craydiddy, which more than works for me. As is the acid variant of Craydiddy, I'm going to send out Flygon because ground does resist poison. It's likely a Rock Tomb, but I'm going to shield anyway, wanting to keep health. The opponent actually falls in the grass knot, so I'm very grateful. I didn't try and call any baits. I fire 3 Dragon Tails and the Dragon Claw. The first one forced the opponent's first Protect Shield. We're doubled up and we're going to fire off back to back. Is the opponent willing to go all in Craydiddy? They are not. Down goes Craydiddy and out comes Golurk. You see these Dragon Tails are tearing through their HP. I'm going to invest the protection. At this point, I know my win con is the fast move beatdown. The opponent pivots out into Talonflame. Talonflame gets farmed down. We're going to pivot out into Ninetales. The opponent is going to have to force in a Dynamic Punch to pick up the knockout. Shadow Punch simply will not cut it. They fire off the Shadow Punch. The Ember goes through and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Wigglytuff in the lead position. This is essentially why I ran Ninetales on the off chance someone's using this bloody stupid Marshmallow. The opponent say switch into Obstagoon, a Pokemon I haven't seen in like forever, since the counter nerf. We fire off the Weatherball, make the pivot into Flygon. The opponent threw it really awful timing, giving me a free Dragon Tail. We tank the Night Slash, fire off the Dragon Claw as the opponent threw it awful timing. They only reach one move and were able to maintain alignment. Flygon is so glassy. If Wigglytuff returns, I only get off 2 charms, which is pretty good for me. Of course, I'm going to wait out my timer as switch timers are misaligned. I went for some Chip and Dip and send Ninetales back into this Marshmallow. The opponent opting to stay in, firing off a Swift, and I'm definitely shielding this as Drampa wants no part of this Marshmallow. I'm then going to fire off 4 Embers and the Weatherball for optimal fast move timing. Like I said previously, using a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move, you want to throw 1, 4 or 7. The opponent then pivots out into an Astonished Golurk, and we have the perfect response in the form of our Drampa. Drampa, a normal and dragon type, meaning ghost type damage is double resisted. The irony of this opponent running a Charmer, which is essentially an RPS mon, and getting RPS themselves. Just the Marshmallow does remain, attempting to tap, charm farm down Drampa. Drampa says no, fires off the Swift, and is a Wigglytuff counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Despite the opponent running Wigglytuff, one of my least favourite Pokemon, we're going to say GG's and head into the next battle. We see Flygon in the lead position, awful for Ninetales. We say switch into Drampa. The opponent opts to stay in, so we're going to take the initiative, fire off the Swift, forcing the first Protect Shield of the game. I'm going to be switch locked whatever I send out. I think here the opponent played this so smartly, recognising I'm going to send out my third Pokemon. They pivot into a Bomber Snow. So if I would have sent out Ninetales, I'd be cooking, but the opponent 5-ed me. Fair play to them. I do invest a Protect Shield, undertap this Dragon Claw. Hope my timer's up. The opponent actually tanked the damage. We pivot into Ninetales. However, I've just switched locked myself again, and we know Flygon is still alive and well. The opponent sends out Furret. I'm getting thoroughly outplayed in this battle. Flygon, of course, has a Dragon Claw bank that we do need to be mindful of. The opponent fires off the Swift. They pivot into Flygon. They take the extra Dragon Tail. And here I think I've got one single win con. I am going to play to the CMP tie that I know I lose. I need to undercharge, leaving them in a perfect 1 ember range, giving me the best chance of reaching a charge move at the return in Furret. Are we able to pull that off? Undercharge looks like a beauty. Can Ninetales withstand the sucker punch damage? Reach the weather wall? Unfortunately, we cannot. We do take a heartbreaking defeat, but I think that opponent played super well and there are no hard feelings. I do not mind getting outplayed whatsoever. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Cradilly in the lead position. The opponent instantly retreat into Furret. I'm going to fire off this Weather Ball, force some chip damage before making the pivot into Drampa. To my surprise, Weather Ball goes shielded, we then pivot out into Drampa. Drampa's insanely glassy. If the opponent fire off Swifts back to back, which they do, they're going to outpace before we even reach a Swift of our own. I'm actually more than happy to concede switch, as both Ninetales and Flygon do reasonably well into that Cradilly in the lead position. I think my best path forward here is send out Ninetales, go for the 1 shield, a full Ember farm down, and see what the opponent's third is. It's likely a Mud Boy, but this is why we've got Scorching Sands. A Scorching Sands, decent into Mud Boys, and double super effective into stuff like that Snail. Out comes Swampert, we fire off the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands lands for a lot of damage, we get the attack drop, and out comes Cradilly. Interesting running Bullet Seed. I'm going to fire off this Dragon Claw on the CMP tie. Dragon Claw forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Decision time. We call the Rock Tomb. That is a Rock Tomb, and just like that, I think we're over the line. The opponent continued to farm up. I'm not entirely sure what they're farming up to. We're going to force on the Stone Edge, guaranteeing the knockout. Get that Cradilly off my screen. Back out comes Swampert. Swampert is able to Mudshot farm me down, but that is certainly 1 Ember range. I'm going to shield this move up. The Ember will knock him out, and we're going to take that game. Heading into the final battle, this time we see Abomasnow in the lead position. This battle was kind of hilarious. The opponent Sage Switch into Cradilly, ABA Grass. We're going to fire off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball goes unshielded. We then pivot into Cradilly, thinking even if the opponent falls under Grass Knot, 1 should be survival and never ever get an acid farm down. Wrong, we do get acid farm down when it's actually a Simul KO. I think I should always shield that move, because we've got Stone Edge. If Abomasnow re-enters the arena, we're guaranteed to force our Protect Shield back. That is such a misplay on my part. There, I attempted to send out Drampa the last second, but I ended up tapping it too late. The game decides, sends out Ninetales, and this one does end in defeat. I often tell you all, do as I say and not as I do. Despite this team going super positive for me, it could have went even better, as this game definitely should have been an RPS win in my favour. It kind of is what it is, man. We all make mistakes, and I definitely am not afraid to show my losses. But with that being said, if you're looking for a strong team, I think this one is definitely a team you can climb with. It's fair to say today I lost like 75 to 80% of leads, but I did win a majority of games. That shows you just how strong this double dragon strategy is in the Great League Sunshine Cup. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, links on battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.